Good afternoon. My name is Thomas Bennett, and I'm the CTO of Critical Minds. Today, we'd like to give a demonstration and an update on our Metaopsis migration utility. So, the Metaopsis utility is a patent-pending application tool, and what it does is it migrates your legacy ETL products, and in this example, we're going to do Power Center to Informatica Cloud. At the moment, we have the analyzer and converter, uh, and we're coming, we have the pattern analyzer that we haven't quite fully released yet, but it is coming out as well as a monitoring solution for your iPaaS or your targeted solution. So what does the analyzer do? Well, the analyzer takes at this point, your Informatica Power Center repository in this example, and how we get that is we instruct the customer to go into the repository manager and to do an export of all their objects from all their folders, and then give us the XML. And what we get out of that is we generate a PDF report, which we'll see in the demonstration, that goes over all the mappings, workflows, connections, folders, etc., and tells us, what percentage of the overall conversion has a one-to-one capability. So, the Power Center expression transformation, you have the Informatica Cloud expression transformation. And then in the case where there's not a one-to-one conversion, what's going to happen? So, for instance, if there's an unconnected stored procedure, how would that be handled in Informatica Cloud? Then the converter, after we run the analysis, then the converter will go ahead and run through all the selected objects, create any connections that it needs, any schedules, mapping configuration tasks, which from a Power Center environment you would call sessions, and then the Informatica Cloud mappings, which is your mappings that you would develop in your designer. If there's any maplets, it'll take those maplets and also upload those to the Informatica Cloud environment. For unsupported transformations, and as of the 1.5 release that we're going to demo, we currently will dynamically wrap those in maplets. So transaction control transformation, rank, Java transformation, and HTTP transformation, we'll dynamically wrap those in maplets and upload those and then inject those into your cloud mapping. And then once the Informatica Cloud environment supports those transformations, you can delete that maplet transformation out of the mapping and put that transformation in. So what is the value add? Well, we broke this down in a number of different segments. You have the pre-sales, post-sales, and customer. From a pre-sales perspective, it gives you precise insight into the customer environment. The Informatica Power Center product is widely known and respected and used throughout the industry. There's over 7,000 customers worldwide. These environments can be very complex. A number of workflows, mappings, integration services all over their enterprise. And after the product's been out for over 20 years, and after a number of time, people don't know what they don't know anymore. The people that develop it have come and gone. The job's just running, it works fine, nobody looks at it. So what this does is it goes in and it'll come out with a report for the pre-sales and say, what are the connections they have? They have SQL Server, Oracle, how much do they have? Do they have any other transformations, Teradata, Salesforce? Do they have flat file? That way you can look at that and see how much that they have, what is the diversity of their connections. Maybe you might need to set them up with a more advanced Informatica Cloud environment, or maybe depending on the level of orchestration, maybe they need to have the Informatica Cloud real-time edition put on. So it just helps overall not just identify, but justify, to the customer, why are you, this is what you need to have to go to Informatica Cloud. And it also shows them from a business unit, the convert, to get there faster, gets them a quick ROI. From a post-sales, and anybody that's ever been involved with any kind of application migration, you'll know that it is just, you're basically throwing darts in the dark. right? These things can be very large. Not everybody knows all the complexity that's there, so it's really a best guess scenario. And what ends up happening is these projects go long, they go over budget, everybody's getting frustrated. The stakeholder, the implementation team, the business unit, and it just becomes a massive brute force, boil the ocean scenario. So what this does, it really lets you dial down, and you can look at your individual folders and say, okay, this folder is 100% automated or 95%, whereas another folder could be 50%. Because you may have transformations in there that aren't a one-to-one, or the logic in those could be might need to be looked at. So you could say, let's start with these folders that we know we can immediately get migrated up. They automatically be validated, and let's go ahead and get those into QA and get that through and get those into production. From a stakeholder perspective, an implementation team, what you want to see is you want to get that go live. You want to get that first go live to get the adoption, get this moving forward. And then while that's happening, you could be working on the harder folders or the folders that require a bit more attention, and space those out. So you're not just randomly picking jobs and then realizing that it's going to be more complicated. From a customer perspective, it helps determine ROI and level of effort. So if I'm the stakeholder, I can look at this and say, okay, I know that I can, back this project. I can immediately start showing my business unit that I've got stuff happening, that stuff's going into production. What is this going to look at? How long should this take? And you feel confident about that communication. So again, with the migration methodology, the analyzer, we break this down into more of a macro, micro. The macro, you're getting that high level. What is this going to take? How many hours? What do my objects look like? What is my folder breakdown? From a micro level, you can actually develop a detailed project plan. Okay, this is the folder that should go first. This is how long it should take from the time that we migrate it to getting it into QA to get it to production. And then that way we can build a timeline and put this out and say, okay, starting on this date, we can end on this date and be in production, 100%, and feel very confident with that communication. From the conversion, you have the ability to, have an object selection. So you can go into your particular folder. So instead of just grabbing everything, running the migration, converting everything up to cloud, and then having to sift through all your stuff, you can actually be very strategic and say, well, I want everything in this folder. Or maybe there's some there's some workflows and mappings in that folder that you don't want to migrate right now because maybe there could be a bunch of different business case scenarios that could be very the business is very dependent on it. Your quarter end's coming up or your month end's coming up. So you might not want to migrate those right now and let the Power Center environment execute those month end jobs. Go ahead and migrate up the other workflows that that aren't going to be as critical to the business unit. And then once that's done, you can go back and then select those workflows and get those migrated up. From a QA perspective, it also helps you zero down so you can look at your report. You can determine what type of checks that you need to do and go in and look for those and then make sure that everything's been met. And then, of course, go ahead and release. We're going to go ahead and get ready to go into the demonstration part of this.